Hi everyone. So we're starting today with something new here on the podcast, something that I wanted to do for a long time, which is a book club. So let me explain to you a little bit what this is going to be all about. So I have some books that I love, but I thought I would dive in more in the books. I would like to do some books not about how to paint, but rather books about creativity or books about how to be an artist or things like that, and difficulties that sometimes we have as artists. What I want is for us to deep dive and give you opportunity to also have something to participate in, have your own thoughts in about the book and reflect about the book. So I decided to every book club that we release, we are going to have a worksheet, and in this worksheet, you can get it for free on the website, the podcast notes. And from there, you can reflect and listen together with the podcast and reflect on the points that we said and write about the book. And I would love if you have comments or ideas about books as well. And later, who knows, maybe we can have a community just to discuss these book clubs. But for now, let's keep on the comments and the blog posts and see how it goes. So I hope you enjoy the idea, and let's dive in on our first book. And our first book is from our previous guest, Deborah Henry Pollard, that was here. Her book is What is Your Excuse for Not Succeeding as an Artist? So we're going to start with that, and later we'll have a talk with Deborah on Instagram, and I'll for sure put that on my YouTube so you guys can check out the YouTube channel, and which is number 2 words art.live, and check that recording later. So let's get started with our book club number 1. I really love this book, and let me tell you why. I think it was a fast read, and it's always good when we can have help and it's a fast read. I think the book goes directly to the point of things that we want to tackle, and I think she did a really good job at tackling for sure the most common questions and the most thought process that sometimes block us from making art. So that was really incredible for me. She works with the excuses that are fears, mindset, ideas, other people, knowledge, logistics, finances, time. So in all of these categories, I would say that she put the most common roadblocks or questions that artists have. Then what I like about it is that she not just give you a thought process to think about how to invert that, but she also talks about things that you could do, exercises that you could do, how to prevent or how to invert that thought. So I think that was a very good thing. And I believe that 99% of the roadblocks that she has here is something that we all thought about at one point or another in our art adventure. That is something that is for sure just worth the book if you've been thinking about, for example, about confidence. And who doesn't have problems with confidence? I think every artist in one point or another, they have a lot of problems with confidence, but we all have this issue as an ongoing issue. And I love that she worked with that thought, and she says, for example, one of the ideas that she gives is create a confidence list. So 10 things you have done which make you feel proud and confident when you think about them. So I think people maybe think that these things are simple, but sometimes simple things have big impacts if you create that as a routine to work on your thoughts and to block them. I remember when I was doing therapy, when my son first got diagnosed, the social worker, she asked me to do the same thing, kind of related to this. She told me, grab a jar and write something that you like about your son, or something that you guys did together, something good that happened, and put in the jar. And when you're feeling defeated or thinking he's never gonna do that or that, grab that jar and pick up something and reflect about it. So there is a lot of power in the small actions that we can do on a day-to-day basis to work with our mind, to work with our brain, to kind of block these patterns of negativity. Let's talk about other people, right? Sometimes you think that people wouldn't like what I create. This is one of the topics here, and I think this is so fantastic again because when we are starting painting, I mean, we go through that many times when we are changing our style or when we are, trying new things. We always think, are they gonna like it? Or if you're a new artist, like me, for example, I've been doing art a long time, but I've not been selling art for a long time, and you always think, are they gonna like what I create? And sometimes I don't like something and I post and people are like, oh, I love that. It's about, again, a mindset that you have to have. And she reminds us, and this is very true, about Van Gogh and Paul Cézanne, people, old masters that they went through a lot of rejections. Again, if you think about it, some of the old masters, they just became famous after they die. They spend a life of people not valuing their art, but that didn't stop them to keep painting and keep doing their art. She gives on every point, things that you can try. One thing that is important here is try not to take comments personally. Listen to and trust your instincts and understand that most people genuinely want to help and contribute. They may just be clumsy in their communication. So, and that is true. Sometimes, art is so personal. We do that with our heart, our emotions, and they are like a child. And sometimes we feel very protective about it. So for sure, that is something that is really important, to have the mindset to put your work out there and just realize that some people are just not gonna like it. Then she has on their finances, she has, no, I can't afford this, and I don't have time. This is a common one as well. In terms of equipment, it's interesting because many people, they prevent themselves from trying art or starting. They think, oh, I can just start when I have golden paints or Sennelier paints or that, which is totally not true. And to get, especially for me that believe that art brings you joy and and relax your brain, you can do that even with color pencils. And you don't need a big budget to get the benefits your art can bring you. And I also think there is a process of learning, and on that process of learning, you actually, it's not beneficial for you to use expensive paint because you're gonna do a lot of bad work. It's necessary to do bad work. So it's important for you to realize that you don't need that in order to get started. And one of my favorites is I don't have time. And I think we have to be committed sometimes, and should talk about that, but in my opinion is I have to find time. I have to put on my schedule, even if it's like 15 minutes a day, to do something every day, and that's the way I will grow. How you can manage that when you say I don't have time. So she says it here as well, work on a project for 10 very focused minutes. What you use in 10 minutes is manageable and not too alarming. Yeah, so if you think about little chunks, then you can for sure get the benefits of that. It's very encouraging. I think the book gives you other thought process, and here I just talked about some of them. I encourage you to read the book, to read all the issues that she talks about. There is many. For sure you're gonna find one. And again, I like how she gives action steps, not just talk about how can you block that, but like what can you do instead of continuing with that thought process. I got my book on Kindle. It's not very expensive and very fast read. I think you can read it in an hour or less. if you are feeling any of these mindset issues or fears or related to art, I think it's very useful. So again, the book is What's Your Excuse for Not Succeeding as an Artist? I'll put the link that you can buy the book. And I encourage you to read it, download the worksheet, and reflect about these questions. And I would love if you could give a comment on the blog post about this book club. And I hope you enjoy the idea. And if you have suggestions of the book, let me know. And again, if you have at the time, if you're enjoying the podcast, don't forget to leave a comment and review on Apple Podcasts. It's really important to spread the word about the podcast. And if you have ideas or comments and you want to let me know, you can DM me on Instagram or you can leave a comment on the blog. I would love to hear from you what you have been thinking about the podcast. So also, don't forget, sign up for my newsletter. I'm doing a monthly exclusive videos from my newsletter subscribers showing inside the studios. So what I'm buying, I've just, my things just arrived, how I organize my new studio, and I'll give you a side video of, what I'm doing and the thought process of things and how I organize my things and things that are happening in the studio. So I hope that you enjoyed, and I see you next time.